Hi, and welcome to the second episode of our Yes, we've accepted of our podcast. And as always, I'm with my beautiful wife,
Hello.
Renee. And
Welcome.
so today we're going to be cooking. We're going to be cooking in two ways. We're going to be cooking in terms of the conversation that we're going to be having, which is going to be on our careers, and by extension, we'll also be talking about personal branding. Interestingly, an area that I'll say
We're
Thomas.
both learning.
Yeah, we're both learning. We're sort of trying to figure out, right? And secondly, we're going to make actually the best shawarma you've ever. Well, unfortunately for you won't taste.
You can't have any.
But probably the best shawarma you ever see online. And I make bold to say that my wife makes some of the best shawarma I've ever eaten. She has made my palate so bougie that I don't know. It's very hard to impress me with shawarma outside my house.
I hope I don't burn anything today.
Yeesh.
That's on camera.
That one's every day. All right, so we're going to have so it's really just going to be a conversation, and then we'll just make it our shawarma, unfortunately, along as
For breakfast.
we go along, right?
Okay.
So I think just to get things started and just start off the conversation, we're looking at what would be what are we going to be talking about, and what will the topic be. Again, the essence of this is to have very honest conversations. And for us, it's really also being able to voice and give voice to even the things that we're sort of trying to figure out, right?
Yeah.
I think we've had very interesting careers. My wife is an architect, interior designer. One of the best at it, right?
The best.
Yeah, if I do say so myself.
The best.
Yes. They heard you the first time, right?
The best.
Just a bit of a lack of modesty there, but it's okay. Yeah, I agree. She's the best. And I'm into marketing strategy. I run a creative agency alongside some other tech businesses. So that's us, right, in terms of a career. But maybe we should start off with you, Rennie. What's your career been like? Yeah, let's start off with you. Who else should we start with? So let's start off with you. Like, what has your career been like in terms of your trajectory and everything else?
I wasn't expecting this question.
I figured.
My career started out quite early. From uni, I've always known that I wanted to do interior design. But interior design wasn't very popular as it is now. So I studied architecture. Told my dad I wanted to be an artist, and he said, no way, I'm doing that. So I started off architecture, and throughout my time in architecture, learned a lot. I think the reason why I can boldly say I'm the best interior designer is because of my foundation in architecture, right? And just from an early time, I've just known that this is what I wanted to do in interior design. Okay, so fast forward, I have been exposed to a lot of women in the industries, great women founders of interior design in Nigeria. The likes of Ifeoma Ighodalo, Muni Shonibare, Nwamaka Okoye. So I have been in spaces where the women are thriving in that industry. So seeing that helped me know the possibilities for myself, and that I can have a successful career and a successful home and marriage too. And that's generally what we're speaking about today. Being able to have success in our career, success in our home, raising beautiful and godly children, and a peaceful home. So
yeah,
I was able to see that.
Yeah, interesting. I think ours sort of similar.
Yeah.
For the record, I have more of a finance background. I studied economics and actually worked in a bank for a period of time. But then my own career trajectory had been banking at some point. I was in oil and gas downstream. Then I worked in aviation for a brief stint, and then thereafter I've sort of spent the bulk of my career in advertising, working in some of the biggest agency networks across the world. Led one of the very, very big ones here in West Africa at a point as chief operating officer, before I then moved on to starting off my own organization. And then I've also had some stints in real estate as well. But what I sort of had, seen and sort of maybe was similar with yours was the fact that where we sort of started off was not sort of where we ended off, or ended up rather. For example, if I look back, I probably never would have seen the pivot into tech, for example, on my side. Probably the same way you may not have seen the pivot into core interior design on your side. But it's interesting how in both instances, we've seen the fact that career paths may not be linear, but then it sort of is important that they are sort of driven by what God wants, because again, what we decide that we want to do sometimes is not as aligned with what God expects of us, and then it's just best to just line up with that. And probably another thing that you said that I think is also very instructive was really the role of figures, maybe not direct mentors per se, but in terms of figures in those respective industries that we could sort of look up to and sort of draw from, in terms of ideas, or draw from in terms of, okay, this is what I wanted to do. You mentioned
made the path really much clearer.
You mentioned Wamaka. I remember people like Tolu Ajayi for me back in there. I'm sure you remember him. And a couple of others, Kechi Odigbo and some others who were very, pivotal, and obviously a mentor of mine, Tunde Dosekun, who were very, very pivotal in sort of shaping and then helping me sort of know that, okay, this is really the path I wanted to follow, and really delving into it. People like Uche Goji, and there's so many.
A lot.
But interesting. All right, but as we talk, and just for the record, I'm very hungry. I haven't eaten breakfast, so I'm having this shawarma for breakfast. So we'll be making it as we talk in the next couple of minutes. But before we sort of delve into that and the good stuff, as far as I'm concerned, yes, I like food. Judge me if you want to. But before we delve into that, I think the other thing I just wanted to ask, especially as it has to do with career, has been obviously even in both careers, we have seen that it's never really, even when you are doing the things that, inverted commas, you believe God wants you to do, or God purpose for you to do, it didn't come easy and all the same, and that in itself was very interesting. What was your experience like in terms of that?
So I needed to put in the work. So I needed to show up to learn as well. I couldn't shortchange the time that I needed to learn. So I remember, I think the times that I learned, let's say it ranged from 2013 to about 2017, 4 years. And in those 4 years, I had the privilege of going through different organizations, right? But I needed to, I at that point, my mind was like a sponge. I really, really wanted to learn everything I could about my craft. And I was really interested in understanding like how they were able to do it. And thankfully, the people that I was with then were very open to teaching and explaining what their life ethos was about and how that got them where they are now or then. And they still speak about it now. So that's it. I wanted to learn everything as quickly as I could. So I never saw any opportunity as too small.
That's so small.
Yeah, so I would put my best into it at any time. I just put my best. So I remember that.
Which is quite interesting. It's quite...
Let's say similar.
No, actually, mine is very different. The total opposite. I don't know if you remember, but when I first got out of school, I've always been very entrepreneurial. So even before I got into school, I had a couple of businesses. While I was in school, I had businesses. In fact, I think I made my first $1 million while I was in university. But then I remember having finished school, I just had this thing in my mind and in my spirit that I was not going to work for anyone, and I was going to go straight into entrepreneurship. So I started my first business. I remember I got an office, Molly, got a couple of things, and that business failed woefully. And when it failed woefully, I was very confused because I just felt like, I thought God was leading me to do this. But then I learned the hard way that the fact that God has shown you something does not mean that you're not still going to go through a process. And that process was something that I then realized I needed to build a career to earn the stripes to really run the business. So the instruction and the aspiration that God had for me to own my business was always the same. But then I was silly in terms of, just preemptively just starting off without then realizing that the career was really what I needed to learn the ropes, to understand how businesses work, to understand how people think, to understand even, the nitty-gritty of the business. Because sometimes we make, and we creatives especially make that mistake. We think creativity is the business. But creativity is a means to an end. It's a means to the actual thing, which is the business. And that's why a lot of creatives will still fail, even though they are the most creative people on the face of the planet.
What you said reminded me, I remember before I worked with Mrs. Godalo, I remember seeing a magazine. I can't remember the name of the magazine. I remember reading it, and I was reading her story, and she mentioned then that was something her father told her. That even when she wanted to start out, he explained to her that she needed to go and work under in a company and just see how there's structure. And she's someone who is very structured in her dealings as an organization. And I totally agree with that, because Yomi is one person that taught me that creativity can be disciplined. Like, I can have a process to my creativity and still have the same results than depending on
So don't they compliment me like that, so I'm also
than depending on, what would you call it, like a brainwave or an epiphany before I can bring out a design. But instead, I can push myself to follow a process, and it will still be an excellent result, whether or not I'm in the mood.
For all those I've taught this thing before, you can see, even I've taught my wife. If I think I'm not practicing charity at home, hope you can see it too. All right. But interestingly, that brings me to another question, because again, all of us started young, right?
Yeah.
I'm definitely not a fan of cliches, the way people say, oh, Gen Zs and talk about their work ethic and everything. I don't believe in that. I believe that as much as there might be certain things, and I'm not refuting the fact that there might be, say, evidence day that, that gang of people, so issues do pertain in that regard, in that sense. But I also am not a fan of believing that it's a collective, that everybody, because I've worked with young people who are fantastic.
I'm sure that even when we were learning, we had certain biases or annoying traits that triggered the people that were mentoring us too at that time.
Yeah, exactly. Which is where I'm coming to, in terms of the fact that we all started our careers young, like a lot of young people, and I feel like that's where there's really a learning opportunity as well, because and maybe that's also the part around bosses and the people you work with. I remember, and I'm not going to mention organizations just yet, or maybe at all, but I think people who worked with me will probably, or who know me will probably be able to piece the picture, put the pieces together. But I remember when after my first business field, and I decided to do NYSC, and I decided to, serve in a company. I remember that when I first joined the company, I first of all had a very interesting experience. As a matter of fact, they sent me to buy Bolly. I can never forget. They sent me to buy Bolly. That was roasted plantain. And I was just like, and I noticed that, like a lot of the, the coppers and interns at that time were sort of in that gang, people that they'd be sending on errands and be doing things. But I just realized, and I said to myself that, hey, I'm not here to be buying Bolly for anybody. I wasn't disrespectful for anything, but I said that I would position myself in a way that you realize by yourself.
I think it's a position.
Yeah, you just course correct and realize that there are some you send to buy Bolly and there are some you don't send.
So I remember cases like this when I was an intern. Even as an intern, I never looked like I wasn't doing anything. I would go and find work. So I would look at people who were obviously overwhelmed, and I'll ask them, what are you doing? How can I learn? And sometimes I would just watch them. By the time I watched them like twice, I would tell them, oh, this I can help you with next time. Or I can take this off your table. Can you show me how I can help? And when I just see projects are ongoing, I remember I came in as an intern, and there was a retreat going on, and they needed shirts printed, different things. And I'm even the one who brought myself and said, oh, at the moment, I'm not busy. How can I help? What can I do? And they just said, they need this, they need that, they need that. And I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I presented myself. There was no way, there was nobody who would ask me to send me on an errand to buy anything, because I was busy. And I was busy with the right things, because remember I said I wanted to learn. So I positioned myself to actually learn. I didn't know how to use Photoshop, but if I needed to design a shirt, the person who could design the shirt was there, but I made sure that, okay, how can I design the shirts? Okay, I can sketch. Okay, this is the idea I have. And then I could sit down with the person and then power through to figure out everything. But like you mentioned, it's the way you position yourself. If you are an intern and then you are sleeping, obviously they can see that you have no use.
Yeah.
But if you're an intern and you say, how can I be of service? What can I do? I see that you're overwhelmed here. I think I can help you with this.
Yeah.
I have this skill here. Like you show them.
Put yourself forward.
Yeah, show them what you can do. Show them where you are ready to take on.
Yeah.
And trust me, they will continue to give you more. But if you position yourself as someone, okay, nobody's giving me, I see that nothing is given to you.
Yeah.
You have to want it. Even with questions, like people are willing to teach, right? But it's the posture that you come with that allows them to know that, yes, I can give you this, and I know that you'll be able to replicate it many more times, and you'll be able to teach somebody else. But if you're waiting for someone to hand it to you, that's not how it's going to happen.
Yeah, in fact, I think spot on, Pastor Mrs. But I think
sorry, I need to.
No problem. But I think one of the things I found very interesting, even for me, and I'm speaking also to you guys watching as well, is the fact that it was the fact that when I first came, they sort of wanted to put me in the same box as every other person, in terms of in my age bracket or who was in that season of their lives. But one thing I just then also realized was the fact that I was able to sort of position myself differently. I remember then, even right from when I was in school, I used to dress really well. So I just realized that, guys, I'm going to give you the full package. So I started dressing.
You're dressing smart.
I was dressing smart. I was obviously very articulate. I was a lot smarter than a lot of people had ranked me to be, and a lot of things sort of were just things I just began to do. And then in a very short period of time, I was being given responsibilities that way outweighed even my rank at the time. And then that sort of was how it went, all the same.
And that's your story even till now.
Even till now.
Like anything that you're given to do, you make sure that the output is excellent.
It's excellent,
right?
Yeah. But I think maybe one last thing I just want to touch on, and then after that, we'll probably start doing the fun part where we start making the food, and then we'll just then switch to, I just wanted us to talk about another bit of the conversation around personal branding. But before we make that switch, I just wanted us to touch on the role of, and you've talked about it as well in terms of people, and you've talked about it, talked about people, and in terms of how they sort of played a role in your career progression. It's interesting how you also talked about bosses, and when you talked about bosses, you talked about bosses in the context of how they were very instrumental in terms of your growth. And I think that is also something that I think young people, even we learned, and I think young people also need to learn, is that no matter the generation, principles remain the same, right? It's just like in economics, they're constants and they're variables. But constants will always remain the same. And that's the fact that people always value people who bring value to the table. Yeah. Regardless of your age, regardless of your rank, regardless of whatever else it is, that value is rewarded. And then what I found is that the bosses and the people who were willing to put themselves out for us, for me, I guess for you as well, were people with whom and for whom we had sort of demonstrated some sort of value. Yeah. And then that is what translated.
There's a scripture that you read some days ago. Do you remember? In Proverbs about
that the hardworking person will always be master, and then the lazy person will always be servant, always be slave. And
it's true.
It's accurate. So regardless of age, regardless of anything, it's really about just being able to deliver and create value.
And just master the excellence that's like the way you are.
Yeah.
Master it.
Amazing. Okay. Amazing. Hope you guys have enjoyed it so far and have learned a couple of things. We're going to start making our shawarma, and as we do that, we're going to be talking about personal branding. Interestingly, personal branding, because it's one area that both my wife and I have sort of interestingly not totally
figuring it out as we go.
We're figuring out. Yeah. All right. So before we go into that, where are we? Okay. So we have flatbread.
It's not a cooking show.
We have sausages. Yeah, I know it's like a cooking show, my love. But all the same, let's give them cooking show. All right. So we have sausages. We have this really well mixed. What's this called?
We just call it a base.
Base. What she said, and then obviously we have chicken, which is very, very important in the mix. Dessert. All right. So while we do this, I think I also then just on this subject of personal branding, just curious as well. I know for me, the reason why I find it very it's almost like a paradox is that I'm in the business of branding, but it seems like it is easier to do it for every other person, but not for myself, which I just also find very, very interesting, right? But the question that I then also want to ask is, what have your, should I call them your struggles been?
Yeah.
Like in terms of, because again, personal branding also in terms of how it plays such an important role in even your career, as you said, because sometimes if we don't, the way we sort of position ourselves or brand ourselves sort of determines how people sort of see us and how they rank us and rate us. So how does that?
Oh, babe, this is your call.
So just, curious, as to how personal branding in itself is such an important part of your career as well, in terms of how you brand yourself sort of determines how people sort of see you and how people appreciate you. So what has your own experience been around sort of personal branding? And I'm asking this honestly as a person who interested in the paradox of this, or the irony of this is that I'm into branding.
Exactly.
But then for me as a person...
Answer your own question.
No, so that's the interesting thing. There's a way they say don't get high on your own supply. I am great at doing it for other people, but I'm the worst person behind the camera. It's interesting. So let's ask, that's what I'm asking you first. And you answer first. What's your own experience been like? This shawarma is distracting, but go ahead. Yeah, you're saying.
What's been my experience with personal branding? So with interior design, it's very important to show the process. I think there's a notion that people assume that interior design is just very easy. It would be easier in other countries because there's certain platforms that they have, but here we have to make sometimes the furniture from scratch if that's what you're trying to do. Showcase the craftsmanship in Nigeria, which is great when you do find a good artisan, right? So there's the process. So with personal branding for interior design, you really need to show the process, but that process can be so daunting because there's so many variables that could be moving around. But capturing the process, the before, the during, the after is very important so that you can see the story and the journey of a space, because that's the beauty of it. How do you know? Because with interior design as well, you are giving problems to solve. Your client has a problem, and their problem could be, I have nowhere to store my, I don't have enough storage space, just as real estate is getting smaller and smaller, or I have no place for my children to play. So they always come with problems. And as interior design, in our showing our brand and our just showing our identity, we need to show the process of, okay, how did we solve this problem, and then how we can solve your problem too. So again, yes, I'm learning to always push that forward because I have the opportunity to reach more people, more than referrals, than the people that already know who I am and what I do. So I've seen that speaking more, representing more about my industry, just letting people be aware that this is the industry I'm in, and you can refer to me as your best friend interior designer. If you have a problem, you can call me and I can just give you solutions. It's very important for my business. Interesting.
I think also on my side, from a personal branding point of view, I think it's also the fact that you just coming to understand the fact that people are, for lack of a better way to put it, are going to interpret you the way you sort of put yourself forward, right? If you put yourself forward as being lackadaisical or whatever else it is, you sort of tend to attract your kind. And if your kind is lackadaisical, you probably get away with it to the extent to which you are expressing lackadaisical people. But the moment you find people who, to an extent, expect you to level up or operate at a certain level, you would always struggle, right? So I feel like personal branding is not only what we do, it's not only what we say we are, because
You have to show
talk
it.
is cheap. Everybody's saying, oh, I'm this, I'm the best, I'm this and that. But I think it's also about what we do, and that's really what really gives personal branding its life and its essence. The fact that we sort of commit to. Okay, let me give you a shot.
Yes, sir.
All right, is that we sort of commit to the very, very things that in themselves give us a bit of, should I call it our own personality, and then gives us that semblance of.
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah. So I gives us a semblance of growth or control or even just a semblance of professionalism, which I think is also very important. And then for me also, I think the second thing that also comes through very, very strongly, especially as we talk about this whole matter of personal branding, is also the fact that we even in the first place need to understand what is my brand, right? What type of brand do I want to be? I know that, for example, I've intentionally grown mine to be more of empathy mixed with professionalism, and a couple of other things I don't want me to say on screen. But I think it's also the fact that sometimes our personal brands are also very, very I don't know how else to explain that. That bit is the part I've not figured out. Is it as though our personal brands sometimes are tied to or informed by our categories or informed by our career paths? I don't know if you get my point, because you being in interior design, it's just a way that whole industry requires you to act or behave in a particular way, or the fact that I'm in branding or creativity or in the creative business, and there's just an expectation that entrepreneurs in that industry sort of act or behave in a particular type of way. And but I think what has been my North Star is the fact that I think it's important that in building our personal brands, we are true to ourselves, because the category shouldn't define you. You should also be in a position to define the category and define what it is that you hold dear versus what the category holds dear. And I think that sometimes is where there's a bit of because I've seen the power of herd mentality play a role even more than it should in certain instances, where even inverted commas, younger people tend to feel like this is the way people behave, or this is how people in my generation ought to behave, and I ought to brand myself the same way.
Well, for us, I guess our North Star is God, right? So I will not represent myself differently from what either like a child of God or a daughter of God or a son of God is about. So in everything that I'm doing, it has to show God believes in excellence, so that has to show. God believes in integrity, or God says I should be someone with integrity, so that has to show. So I think that is my North Star. So not what everybody else is doing, but what.
Yeah, interesting. And I think just as we begin to round off, and by the way, when I say round off, I'm going to eat a very amazing shawarma. And my wife too. But just as we begin to round off, I think for me, the last thing I really want to sort of dial up in this conversation is really the fact that on one side, we've talked about the fact that our careers, whether in your field or in my field or in any field, sort of that some principles remain the same, and that
excellence,
value, providing value, and not even sometimes providing value within the remit of what is expected, but sometimes going far above and beyond. I remember one of my bosses and mentors said something to me a couple of years ago. I think I was chief operating officer at the time. I was managing director of the company. I was deputizing him at, and then he said something. I was at the time fighting for promotion for someone who worked under me and who I believed had done his job. And I was asking him to say, hey, boss, please, we need to promote this guy. And he said something to me that I found very profound. At the time, I didn't accept it, but when I reflected on it, it made sense.
Now.
And he said, and I quote, he said, yes, the person is doing his job, but that's what his salary is for. That when we sign an agreement, you said, I will do this, and then for this, I will get paid. You get paid this. That for the person doing his job, his payment is a salary. That if he wants a promotion, that what qualifies you for a promotion is going above and beyond. And that is to say, this is the value that was expected of you, but this is the value that you delivered. And it is the fact that you exceed expectation, you exceed value, is what then qualifies you, for lack of a better way to put it, to then
take on more.
For something more. And I think that for me was very instructive in that sense. And then I think the last thing I just want to touch on was the fact that, as we talked about personal branding, was the fact that even as you build your career, that the way you brand and position yourself sort of informs how people sort of brand and position you. So whether it is your core career, or even more importantly, you're trusting people to understand it, there's even more at stake when you're going into full-time entrepreneurship, because as an entrepreneur, everything rides and falls on people's perception of you. People do not perceive you to be a professional person. They do not perceive you to be a person that is reliable, is consistent, and a couple of other things that could impact you even more negatively, right? If people just feel that you're a dubious person, for example, how that could impact your opportunities in terms of business, career progression, all those types of things. So I think it's really that. But maybe the final thing, at least on my side, and I don't know if you have anything to add up, is the fact that a part of personal branding is the fact that, yes, it's very heavily dependent on what you do, but I also think it's also important in terms of what you say, in terms of having a point of view, in terms of having a perspective. There's a way the Bible says it, I paraphrase, but everyone it's time to be intelligent and to open your mouth. I'm also going to say just open your mouth and to start talking trash all over the place. But sometimes your perspectives and the fact that you have a voice and you have a perspective and it is a respected one is in itself sort of the leverage that even helps you even your personal branding journey as well. And I think it's just really that important that we're very intentional about this. That you don't just come into an organization and just think that because a generational tag has been put, you fall into that and start acting like everyone else. The truth of the matter is that if you are like everyone else, what is the basis for anybody to select you for preference in any sense? So I think it's really understanding those and then just really taking those into cognizance. So yeah, I think that's my final update. Yours?
Again, for this conversation that we usually have, I always try to imagine having this conversation with my kids, right? Even for them, sometimes they don't even know what we do. I remember when my kids were getting more knowledgeable about what's going on, their feedback to me was, "Oh, mommy, whenever you come back home, you're always so tired and you're sleeping." And I intentionally one day carried them along with a site that I had finished. It wasn't even the process. Because my older daughter, I would take her to sites with me. But that was when she was much younger. So now that they are older, I try to show them this is what I do for a living so that they understand what it is I'm bringing when I'm home. Because the dynamics are different as a mom. I can be more available on a weekend more than on a weekday. But even I also have to be very conscious to safeguard my time. So at a particular time, let's say by pickup time or by 6, I have to structure the things after so that I can also accommodate time for my kids too. But what I'm getting at is that they are also very aware and they watch us and they see us, they see what we're doing. My husband very well as well takes them to his office, and sometimes even when you need to do a shoot, so like today our daughter was asking us, "Oh, what are you going to be doing? What are you going to be talking about?" So it's interesting that we are also raising them to understand what it is that we are engaged in. And so this our so-called our personal brand and our career, they are also a part of it. I remember when we were younger, it was more intentional because for me, my mom was a pharmacist, and her family had like a complex where we used to work from. And that is where I learned work and how to work. I joke to my kids that I'm learning how to be a mother, but learning how to work was like ingrained in me. Working was just normal. Once you're done from school, you get there, try and be useful. You attend to a customer, you greet the customer. And we're young, right? But I'm just getting to the point that I'm explaining that exposure as well even shows our kids the trajectory even for their lives as well. If we speak so much about excellence, how are we also showing them what excellence is about as we are raising them to, I guess, impact the world also. So that's my final point.
Interesting. All right. It's again, it's been amazing. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you.
Remember to like, to share, to comment as well, and to tell us about your own experiences with your career, as well as it has to do with personal branding as well, and just understanding, in terms of, let's just share thoughts as to how that has helped you, and even more importantly, probably the things you have learned that we could also learn from. So until then, love and light.
Bye.